We were driving down the road the other day, my wife and I, and she was in the passenger seat reading Live the Last Day. And she stopped and looked at me and asked me, "Did you read about drugs?" And for a second, I didn't realize what she was talking about. And I asked her, "Well, what are you talking about?" She said, "The way you describe the drugs in Live the Last Day, their effects. Did you read about it?" I thought for a second, and my response was, "Well, I have read about it. If you ever watched the TV show Sons of Anarchy," I mentioned that before, the guy who played Happy, David Faber, I think is his name, I had read his biography, and at one point he was suffering from an addiction to heroin. And spoilers, be forewarned, we know that Casey kind of started heading in that direction. And the way I described it was from his descriptions, and also I'm a big fan of the heavy metal band Metallica. And their 1986, I believe, album Master of Puppets, the title track, that was a big influence. The lyrics of that song. "Just call my name because I'll hear you scream." And I've always heard it, and I've watched a lot of documentaries. I've watched a lot of things. Like I said, I'm a big fan of music, and the grunge / metal band, they're more metal than grunge. Alice in Chains, their frontman, Lane Staley, died from a heroin overdose. And I've read a lot about him. And it's been described as like this monster inside your head. The monster that won't leave you alone, that growls, that calls for the drug. And that's kind of the way I wrote Casey's plight. And I've read about and seen, like I said, about the withdrawal symptoms, how struggle. And we see that with Charlie. But music is a big influence on a lot of things that I do. If you listen to the sound of my voice, you probably think he's listens to the country and things like that, but I've never been a big fan, especially of modern country. I just really don't like it. But I am a fan of old school heavy metal, and that song, Master of Puppets, really influenced Live the Last Day. And I didn't go into a lot of detail about the things that happened to them on purpose. There is one scene in the book where Charlie and Casey are in a motel room. This man comes in, and I kind of leave it at that. I don't want to go into a lot of graphic details. I think that's unnecessary. I think you know what's happening or about to happen or did happen. So I kind of left that alone. Left that scene kind of hanging right there and let you come to your own conclusions about what happened. And that is the point that I wanted to get across in that part of the book, was they were not in control of themselves. This monster was in control. This monster was telling them what to do. And like I said, that's the way heroin use has been described to me. Now, I've never known anyone that's been addicted to heroin, thank goodness. But I think it is, by what I've read and what I've seen, one of the worst addictions you can have. Now, methamphetamines, on the other hand, I have not seen firsthand its effect on people, really, but I've kind of seen it secondary, as a secondary observer. Some old friends here and there that's been with that's more prevalent around this area, around the South, in the rural areas. In in the bigger cities, I'm sure heroin is a bigger player. And I don't really think that in Panama City, Florida, the beach area. Now, when I say Panama City, I refer to the beach. There's two different Panama cities, Panama City Beach and Panama City. It's across the Hathaway Bridge. One side is Panama City, the other side is Panama City Beach. Now, in all my years, I don't think I've ever heard of a lot of heroin along the Gulf Coast in that area. But, I mean, think about it. A lot of young adults and teens flock to that area, especially in the time period that we're talking about, early 80s. I can remember going down there on spring break with my mother. I think it was a 1982 Chevrolet Chevette, which was around brand new at the time. They bought it brand new. But I remember going down there. My sister had been down there babysitting, and we went to pick her up. And we're probably talking, well, this is probably past 82. This is probably mid-80s. It's around that time period. And we started walking, my mother and I started walking to find something to eat that evening when we got down there. I don't remember if it was spring break. It may have been summertime. I can't really remember. But the chaos around the strip at that particular time was overwhelming to me, a country kid, you know. I'd been to Panama City Beach several times, many times, and I'd never seen the real nightlife of Panama City until that night. And it kind of frightened me. I think I was around 8 or 9, something like that. And just the pure chaos of the environment. I remember people like up in the balconies, and there wasn't a whole lot of tall hotels and condos in Panama City on the strip at that time. There were a few. There wasn't the skyscrapers that we see that block the view of the Gulf now. But there were probably 15, 20 stories, if that, maybe 10 stories. But people hanging off the balconies and things like that, and the music coming up and down the road. Now, at this point, I lived a really sheltered life. I really hadn't gotten into the heavier music. I remember my first album, going off on a tangent, that I ever bought was Michael Jackson's Thriller. So that tells you my musical taste is broad. But walking down the strip, that is what I think of when I wrote that part of Live the Last Day. When Casey is below the pier right there and meets Charlie and the other parts of the group that he loosely became associated with during that time period. And the part that I'm thinking about is the old, I want to say it was the Bay County Park. There was a pier right there, and it was, I think, as far as I can remember, it may be right there around Pier Park is today. But there was coming down the strip, beach side is on your right. On the left, I think it was Bay County Park. I'm not really certain that was the name of it. But it was a small park. It had some picnic tables, places to change, some showers. And across the road was the pier that you could go out on, and you could park in the Bay County parking area right there. You could park your car. I remember one time me and my aunt and my mother and my little cousin and I went to the beach for the day, and we parked there. That is the area I'm thinking about when I wrote that part of the book. I don't ever remember seeing it at night. I don't remember people congregating up under that pier. But let's remember, we're talking about a fictional story, so I embellished that a little bit. But that's the area that I wrote it, around the old Bay County Park right there. It may have been called something else. I can't remember. But it was right there, or I think right around, like I said, where Pier Park is today. And that is the basis of that part of the book. Now, getting back to how the drugs affected those two. Master of Puppets was a big song that I leaned on. Also, Down in a Hole by Alice in Chains. Now, Down in a Hole is one of the most tragic songs to me, because from that point of view of the song, Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell, I think they were the writers of that song, they tell us it's like a story, just being so down on yourself, being so far down, you don't ever think you can claw your way back out. And that's my interpretation of the song. And the most tragic thing that I can remember ever watching was the MTV Unplugged episode when Alice in Chains was on there Unplugged. You just did an acoustic set of your songs that played Down in a Hole. And Lane Staley, that was pretty much one of his last appearances with Alice in Chains before he succumbed to his addiction and was found dead of heroin. And the pain that you can see in his face, that was a big influence in the book. Just his face, his voice, was a big influence of trying to put on paper the pain that you see in Lane Staley's face, the pain that you hear in his voice. And to an extent, you can hear it in Jerry Cantrell's voice, because I think he knew that his friend and bandmate right there was suffering from that. So when people say that heavy metal is a brainless type of music, and, Airheads, the movie, Adam Sandler, Brendan Fraser back in the day, it's not. Heavy metal is about real life. And a lot of their songs, and I'm not talking about hair metal from the 1980s, I'm talking about real heavy metal like Metallica. And historic, situations, Iron Maiden, Slayer. Listening to that music as a kid opened up my eyes a lot. And I didn't discover heavy metal until I was about 16 years old. Now, I remember buying Van Halen's Jump, but I don't consider that heavy metal. Around 1984, I'll tell you a little story, a little sidetrack, we'll get back in a minute, of me buying Van Halen's Jump. On the cover of the 45, yes, it was a vinyl record, it was a 45, you put it on a little turntable. My mother and I were at a store, TG&Y, in Ozark, Alabama. Long gone. I don't even know if there's any TG&Y stores left. Anyway, we were in there, and I was left by myself, I guess. Back in the day, you let your kids wander the store. But I come across Jump by Van Halen. I pick it in the sleeve. I'm not gonna call it album cover, but the sleeve cover caught my attention. It was an angel sitting there, a little baby angel or a toddler angel or something like that, smoking a cigarette, had a pack of cigarettes out there, and that drew me in. And I picked it up, took it to the cart. My mother picked it up and looked at it a couple times, and she wasn't going to buy it. How I talked her into it, I don't know, but that was my first introduction into the hard rock heavy metal world, was Van Halen's Jump. Didn't really get into it until, I'll tell you another little story. I may have told this story before. I think I did, but I'll tell it again. About me borrowing a kid. I think I was about 9th grade, maybe 10th grade, because that's about when I got my driver's license in my 10th grade year. He wanted to borrow some money. I said, okay, I'll let you borrow some money, but if you don't get back to me tomorrow, you owe me something. And we agreed upon 3 cassette tapes. And the 3 tapes that I eventually got were Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue, Quiet Riot, Mental Health. I can't remember the other one. I want to say it was Poison maybe, but those 2 really pointed me in the direction of heavy metal. They were like a door opener. And my cousin was dating a guy that was really into Metallica at the time, and I saw some of his t-shirts, and it really kind of piqued my interest about the band. So I bought the Black Album, just the one that said Metallica, because I thought, looking at it in Walmart where I was looking at, that it was probably the debut album because it was just entitled Metallica. And after I put that tape in, the rest is history. But like I said, I learned a lot. My vocabulary expanded. James Hetfield using his lyrics I didn't know the meanings of. I would go look up the meanings. I would study the lyrics and the little inlay cards. And like I said, it expanded my vocabulary, number one. Number two, it made me think about other things other than my little cocoon here in my small community of Elamville. It made me start thinking about other things. I've always had a vivid imagination, and I could always, like in my mind as I'm back then rolling down the road, listening to Metallica, I could envision like music videos in my head. And the ironic thing is Metallica really did put out music videos until one came out, my favorite song of all time. So I can see it in my mind. I can let like songs play out stories in my mind. I guess that's how I can come up with some of the things I come up with. It's just thinking about it, seeing it in my mind. And that's the way I came up with the drug scenes in that book. Not from real experience, not from hands-on, but from, like I said, it started with Master of Puppets, the lyrics to that song, the song Down in a Hole, the song Sick Man, a lot of different songs. Kickstart My Heart, when Motley Crue's Nicky Sixx overdosed on heroin and died, had to come back. They brought him back by kickstarting his heart. So the main thing that I just wanted to talk about that before I forgot about it. And if you have not picked up Perfidious Tides, it is a free giveaway this month. This is July 1st, 2026 as I'm speaking. And you should be getting this right at the end of the month. But if you have not, if you get it by the end of July, I'm going to send out a couple of times at the beginning and middle of the end of the month on my newsletter, which you can sign up for at pelhampugh.com, that you can get a free electronic copy of it or win one of 20 titles, I think. It's a free giveaway, and I'm going to send out all the information. It'll be on my Facebook, it'll be on my TikTok, it'll be on my website, it'll be on my newsletter, and I'll put a link in the show notes down below in case you haven't time. But if you want to read it, there's a sign up right there. And the sign ups, if you sign up for my Perfidious Tides, I will add you to my mailing list, and you can get updates and win t-shirts and books and things like that. I'm thinking about doing coffee cups because I'm really big into coffee cups. I drink a lot of coffee, and everywhere I go, I try to get a coffee cup to say I've been there. So I'm thinking about that also. It's a slow build. I don't intend to become successful overnight, putting in the work. And it all started with Master of Puppets, way back around 1992. And in 2026, here we sit, and it helped me write a book. Just the lyrics from James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich, the music, Cliff Burton, Kirk Hammett. They'll probably never know that they sparked a small piece of Live the Last Day. But I do thank them in memory of Cliff and Lane, Staley from Alice in Chains, all those fans that you think they're just putting out songs, just noise, but there's meaning behind those songs. So, I promised a little bit better podcast after the last one. It was kind of a rant. And this gives you a little background into some ways that I think about writing. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.